So the other part to that is ECAD data, okay? And there are really still two ways to manage ECAD data in the BOM, okay? So that could be managed as a document. So you might take a document that is the board information that you've been given, and maybe another one could be the schematic. We can go and we have that WT part that represents them, and we can go and relate those documents to the BOM item, okay? So typically we do that when, maybe PCB design, the electronics design is done externally, okay? So you're designing your product and you're going to outsource the design of the PCB to someone. You're going to give them all the specs and everything else. So we can take all of that documentation, relate to the PCB part, and then you get that information back, the schematic and the board. We can stick them into Windchill and attach them to the PCB part as part of our bigger structure, okay? So we're not worried about the structure of the PCB itself because we're just buying in that PCB from an outside supplier, okay? Or we could be looking at managing that as an ECAD document. So this is more when we're doing our own internal electronics design, okay? So from that perspective, then we want to use, we want to check in the ECAD document, we want to build a BOM structure. With that, we can start to look including derived data, so things like pick and place and IDF and Gerber files, okay? So this is when we're doing, the PCB design is done in-house as a part of that. So we want all that structure, we want all that information, because now we're going to make that, we've got to find suppliers for all the parts to go into that board, okay? So in that case then, when we check that in, we're building a structure, we're using library information. So when that PCB goes in, we're going to have the schematic, the board, all that derived data going in as CAD documents, okay? So we've got multiple ways to handle our ECAD data inside the bill of materials, okay? So, and this is where XPLM's integration comes in. So the idea is it provides now that if you're working with your ECAD design tools and you want to put that into Windchill to build that structure to work with all that libraries, that's where the XPLM Integrate 2 solution comes. Okay, so the ability to start new ECAD products, to save them into PLM. Once they've been saved into, then check in and check out. So we basically work with those ECAD tools. We'll still keep working inside our ECAD tool, but we've got that connection into Windchill. So the ability to, basically synchronize data between them, do structure comparisons, all of that kind of data management things that you'd want to do inside your PLM system from within your ECAD tool. Okay, so the idea is that you still continue, the ECAD designers will continue to work in their ECAD tools. Okay, so what it adds in is another menu picks basically to integrate that, and we've got Windchill on the other side. Okay, so we can have these integration options here. So we could maybe we can start doing our work. We can save that to PLM, and then we get a dialog box up that is now basically providing that interface between the ECAD tool and Windchill. So I'll just show a quick little movie that kind of outlines what this looks like, just to give you an idea of how that kind of works. So this is showing that save to PLM. So the idea is that I have gone and done all of my ECAD work already. I've been working, in this case, it's coming from Altium, which you'll see in a minute. And now I've chosen that save to PLM option. So I can go and browse where in Windchill I want to store that. So I can browse, my products and folders and libraries and choose where I'm going to put it in. I've got my different options there, which assemblies I'm putting in, the board, where all that's going. So you can see as I'm creating all of these things over on the right-hand side, the event log showing me what's happening. I can choose there for my derived files, what I want to put inside as well. Okay, so when I OK that, it now goes off and does a whole bunch of checks through Windchill. Okay, so it's searching, read the message there, it's searching for that information in Windchill, and then up comes my BOM comparison. Okay, so we can filter that either looking at things like by the reference designator. We can look at quantities. It tells us, I've found these, that this Windchill can list anything missing in Windchill, okay, any parts that aren't released yet. So maybe I'm using something in my PCB design that isn't released inside Windchill, which I need to think about. So I've got these warnings and messages that come up to let me work with that. But if I'm happy with all of that, I can now just go off and start to save that into PLM. So really now all the processing is now being done. You can see on the right-hand side there in the event log, it's telling me what it's doing. So it's generating the PDFs, generating all of those downstreamed files that I want, those derived files, I should say, and putting them into Windchill as well. Okay, a little message there telling me that save to PLM has been done inside Altium. Okay, checking in all of that information, and that's now being stored inside Windchill. Okay, so really the idea is that I can do my work inside my ECAD tool, and then when I'm ready, put that in. I get all of those comparison tools to work. So that's a very, very quick look at I guess how the product sort of looks and works in that integration side.